First watch all the clips and at the end you will hear my thoughts on it. While watching, if you have any thoughts then write them in comment section. I would love to read your thoughts.
Put a finger down if you want on a date with a guy that you met at the gym and he takes you to Dave & Buster's and he's super sweet and nice and respectful. If you go on a second date with him, he takes you bowling, super fun, sweet, nice. Date ends early, he doesn't want to stop hanging out with you. You don't want to invite him back to your place, but you willingly go to his place, even though you don't really know him that well. And you're sitting at his place next to him in the dark and you guys are talking and you having a taser comes into conversation and he tells you to tase him and you're like, what? And he tells you, tase me, I don't feel any pain. And you're like, what do you mean? Were you not born with any pain receptors? And he goes, no, I was. I'm just a celestial, so I don't feel any pain. And you're like, come again? What does that mean? And he tells you that a celestial means that he is an angel in a human's body. And you're like, okay, is that like the TV show Lucifer? And he goes, oh yeah, they just didn't get everything right. And you're like, what do you mean they didn't get everything right? And he goes, Lucifer actually goes by Satan. And that the daddy issues part is real. And you're like, oh, okay, so you guys are brothers? And he says, yes. And then you ask him if he has wings and if he can fly. And he says, yes. And you're like, okay, can I see them? And then he goes, well, I can't pop them out on command, but if we go to a rooftop, I can show them to you. And then the first thing that comes to your mind when he says that is that he is going to himself, you, or the both of you. So you're like, no, thank you. Then he tells you that he's not actually 25, that he was born in the time AD. You know, there's BC and AD. He was from the time AD. So you're like, oh, okay, so you're like 2000 something years old. And he's like, yeah, I don't know the exact number, but somewhere around there. So you're like, okay. Then he tells you that if you guys had a baby, that baby would be a celestial. Then he tells you that he was brought on this earth to protect you specifically. And then he says that you can become a celestial too, and then tries to bite your arm. Then he tells you that he's going to get in big trouble for telling you all of this because you're not supposed to know this because he's supposed to be the angel protecting you. And then he makes you promise not to tell this story to anybody. He tells you, he pinky promises, but while he's telling you, he starts laughing. And he says, before you even tell anyone, I will already know. And that creeps you out. But you're like, okay. And almost forgot to mention, anytime that he was telling you and talking to you about this, he was getting really close to your face. And it didn't look like him. It looked like an actual demon. Anyway, he takes you home and he shows you, pulls out a triangular knife. The blade is triangular and there's a red rope wrapped around the handle. And he tells you, want to take a guess who gave me this? And you say, oh, Satan. And he goes, yep. He gave this to me to protect me from his demons. And you're like, oh, I thought you guys were buddies. And he goes, no, yeah, but his demons like to not listen to him. And you're like, okay. You go home, and you know you're never going to see this man again, ever again. A week later, you decide to tell your best friend. And as soon as you tell her, he calls you up. And he just says, hey, how are you? How have you been? What's up? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Okay. Right? Then you tell another friend a few days later, and he calls you immediately after you tell that story. Same thing. Hey, how are you? How have you been? Mind you, he never calls you, ever. A few months go by, and you're on FaceTime with your mom, and you're telling her this story, and you're on the 26th floor, and it's nice, it's clear skies, and a big cloud just comes surrounding your floor-to-ceiling windows apartment, and only on your floor. Right? Then a few more months go by, and you get invited to a gym opening, and this is the pre-opening. They're only inviting influencers. He is not an influencer. You're at the gym pre-opening. You're telling one of your friends this story. 5 minutes later, he walks up to you, comes out of nowhere, walks up to you, says, "Hey, how have you been?" and walks away. And a year goes by, and you go on a date with another guy, and you go bowling, and this reminds you of this guy, so you tell him the story of what happened, and as soon as you tell this story, the machine in your bowling lane stops working, and the guy you're on a date with freaks out, and he leaves. And now, anytime you tell this story, something always happens.
This is an update to my crazy dating story. Yes, I am okay. Nothing that weird has really happened. The morning after I told the story, there was a rainbow that showed up on my floor when I woke up. Then this thing appeared on my window.
I get an energy from you that, like, I don't get from, like, all people, you know? When you walked in, I was just like, wow.
Like, how does an insect that small make it up so high up? I don't know. Also, yes, this is a true story. It's not a book that I read or a movie that's coming out. I wish it was. The reason why I didn't block his number right away was because I think I was in kind of a shock. I couldn't believe what was just told to me. It took me a while to kind of process it and be like, wait, hold on, this is messed up. Like, this is not normal. This is crazy. Because he was such a nice and respectful guy. Like, this man was in the military. He would feed the homeless like several days a week. He was a personal trainer. Like, he was very nice, and like he seemed like a good guy. I guess I don't know where that came from. He is blocked on everything now, and a lot of people say that he probably tapped my phone, and maybe he did, but I've gotten a new phone since a few months after that happened, and then the gym story happened with my new phone. The one where I told my friend in the gym, and then 5 minutes later he shows up. I haven't seen him in like a year. Hopefully I don't ever see him again. Yeah, that was it. Oh, and this did happen in LA. I guess that's why they call it the City of Angels.
Stop it. Get some help.
After going out with him, smearing his name seems more likely to make him show up again. Although, as I said, this girl always has some fantastic story to tell. Check out her next story.
I didn't think that I was gonna make this video, but I feel like I just have to speak up on what happened and what is happening with the US justice system, because I am so fucking speechless right now. And I apologize if I cry during this video, but I have been keeping this in for 2 years and I can't do it anymore. I was sexually assaulted 2 years ago by a couple of guys that I thought were my friends. I didn't know them for that long. I was drugged and I was raped. I was on my period when this happened, and I had a tampon in. And when I woke up the next day, completely unaware of where I am or what happened, I was completely naked from the waist down, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what happened, and then when I went to the bathroom and I couldn't find my tampon, I immediately knew what happened, and I was not okay. I spent the whole day at the hospital getting exams and tests and talking to doctors and the police, and they found the tampon jammed up inside of me, and I had a bruise on my arm, and I had a detective, and I had to hunt him down every time to get an update on the case because nothing was being done. After 2 years, he couldn't find the guy. Like, what do you mean you can't find him? He's on social media. What do you mean you're a fucking detective? How can you not find him? And I was tired of waiting and not getting justice, so I hired a very, very, very good criminal defense lawyer, and I worked with his bounty hunter, and he did everything he could. But the DA said that they don't think this was grave. They think that what happened was completely consensual. They think it was completely consensual, even though they saw how I was. They saw my reaction. There was a tampon jammed up inside of me. There's all these proofs, and the DA will not take this case to court because they think it was consensual. And there is nothing that can be done. Nothing. I can file a civil case, that's it, but I can't file a criminal case. This fucking man gets to walk free and do this to other women, and I have to sit here and suffer with PTSD still to this day, even after going to therapy. I can't even have my own sexual relations because I get fucking triggered. I get triggered, and I get an attack. I really thought that I was gonna get justice on this. I really, really, really thought that this man was gonna be put behind bars and I was gonna get justice and I was gonna feel okay. But I can't believe how shitty the U.S. justice system is. How can they let this happen? How can they let a man who fucking rapes women free? I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do. So I just wanted to tell my story about what happened and how shitty the U.S. justice system is because they have to fix this. This is not okay. This is not consensual at all. I am so traumatized from this situation and I can't even get justice from it. I don't know what else to do. Yeah, I don't know what else to do.
The video dives deep into the unpredictable chaos of modern life, with an influencer sharing 2 stories that range from hilariously bizarre to gut-wrenchingly serious. Together, they paint a picture of modern dating, societal expectations, and systemic failures that leave you questioning just how much progress we've really made. Let's start with the first tale, a date so absurd it could be a rom-com subplot, if it weren't also a little unsettling. The influencer met a man who seemed like the total package, attractive, charming, and claiming to be an angel. Yep, you read that right. What started as light-hearted banter quickly spiraled into a cosmic fever dream as he detailed his celestial origins, pitched the idea of their angelic child, and unveiled a triangular knife he claimed was a gift from Satan for protection. Romantic, right? What's wild is her disbelief wasn't about his claims, but that someone so good-looking could also be so, well, out there. It's a reminder of how deceiving appearances can be in the world of modern dating. Whether it's Tinder profiles or IRL charm, you never know what's lurking beneath the surface. But just as you're chuckling at the absurdity of Angel Boy, the video flips the script entirely. The second story pulls no punches, delving into the influencer's harrowing experience of sexual assault. She shares the horrifying reality of being drugged and assaulted by people she trusted, only to face an indifferent justice system that seemed more intent on closing the case than delivering justice. Despite having physical evidence and cooperating fully with authorities, she was met with a devastating verdict. The district attorney ruled the incident consensual. The emotional fallout from this betrayal, by both her so-called friends and the legal system, is palpable. It's a sobering indictment of how survivors of sexual assault, especially those in the public eye, are often disbelieved or dismissed. These stories aren't just anecdotes, they're a reflection of deeper societal issues. On one hand, the ridiculousness of modern dating highlights how disconnected people can be from reality in the quest for love. On the other, the failure of the justice system to protect and empower survivors underscores the urgent need for reform. For viewers, these dual narratives are a wake-up call. They urge us to look critically at the systems and norms shaping our lives, from the expectations we bring to relationships to the ways we handle serious violations of trust and safety. Ultimately, the influencer's journey reminds us that life is full of the unexpected, sometimes laughably so, and other times tragically so. Whether it's dating someone who thinks they're an angel or confronting the failures of justice, her stories push us to demand better, for ourselves and for society at large.
And that concludes today's discussion on MGTOW Voice. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on future videos. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next video.